And until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. Nobody can teach me who I am. You can describe parts of me, but who I am and what I need is something I have to find out myself. If you don't like my story, write your own. While we do our good works, let us not forget that the real solution lies in a world in which charity will have become unnecessary. The white man is very clever. He came quietly and peaceably with his religion. We were amused at his foolishness and allowed him to stay. Now he has won our brothers, and our clan can no longer act like one. He has put a knife on the things that held us together and we have fallen apart. There is no story that is not true, the world has no end, and what is good among one people is an abomination with others. To me, being an intellectual doesn't mean knowing about intellectual issues, it means taking pleasure in them. He who will hold another down in the mud must stay in the mud to keep him down. When suffering knocks at your door and you say there is no seat for him, he tells you not to worry, because he has brought his own stool. My weapon is literature. If I hold her hand, she says, "Don't touch." If I hold her foot, she says, "Don't touch." But when I hold her waist bead, she pretends not to know. One of the truest tests of integrity is its blunt refusal to be compromised. When the moon is shining, the cripple becomes hungry for a walk. Among the Igbo, the art of conversation is regarded very highly, and proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. Age was respected among his people, but achievement was revered. As the elders said, if a child washed his hands, he could eat with kings. A child cannot pay for its mother's milk. People create stories create people, or rather stories create people create stories. You do not know me, said Tortoise. I am a changed man. I have learned that a man who makes trouble for others makes trouble for himself. Privilege, you see, is one of the great adversaries of the imagination. It spreads a thick layer of adipose tissue over our sensitivity. When we are comfortable and inattentive, we run the risk of committing grave injustices absent-mindedly. Writers don't give prescriptions. They give headaches. It always surprised him, when he thought of it later, that he did not sink under the load of despair. Procrastination is a lazy man's apology. A man who pays respect to the great paves the way for his own greatness. There is a moral obligation, I think, not to ally oneself with power against the powerless. When a man is at peace with his gods and ancestors, his harvest will be good or bad, according to the strength of his arm. Women and music should not be dated. When a coward sees a man he can beat, he becomes hungry for a fight. The world is like a mask dancing. If you want to see it well, you do not stand in one place. That we are surrounded by deep mysteries is known to all but the incurably ignorant. Nothing puzzles God. Those whose kernels were cracked by benevolent spirit should not forget to be humble. It is the story that owns and directs us. It is the thing that makes us different from cattle. It is the mark on the face that sets one people apart from their neighbors. And theories are no more than fictions which help us to make sense of experience and which are subject to disconfirmation when their explanations are no longer adequate. The show of affection was a sign of weakness. The only thing worth demonstrating was strength. The impatient idealist says, "Give me a place to stand and I shall move the earth." But such a place does not exist. We all have to stand on the earth itself and go with her at a pace. As our father said, you can tell a ripe corn by its look. Stories are not always innocent, they can be used to put you in the wrong crowd, in the party of the man who has come to dispossess you. The sun will shine on those who stand, before it shines on those who kneel under them. I am fire that burns without faggots. Wisdom is like a goatskin bag, every man carries his own. Looking at a king's mouth, said an old man, one would think he never sucked at his mother's breast. I do not see that it is necessary for any people to prove to another that they build cathedrals or pyramids before they can be entitled to peace and safety. Have you not heard that when two brothers fight, a stranger reaps the harvest? Don't disparage the day that still has an hour of light in its hand. The person who has not secured a place on the floor should not begin to look for a mat. A man who asks questions does not lose his way, that is what our fathers taught us. That we may accept a limitation on our actions, but never, under no circumstances, must we accept restriction on our thinking. The damage done in 1 year can sometimes take 10 or 20 years to repair. He has put a knife on the things that held us together and we have fallen apart. It is the storyteller who makes us what we are, who creates history. The storyteller creates the memory that the survivors must have, otherwise their surviving would have no meaning. Become familiar with your home, but know also about your neighbors. The young man who never went anywhere thinks his mother is the greatest cook. When a madman walks naked, it is his kinsman who feels shame, not himself. Thus think of the work you've set yourself to do, and do it as well as you can. When brothers fight to death, a stranger inherit their father's estate. When an old man dies, a library burns to the ground. Whatever music you beat on your drum, there is somebody who can dance to it. If you have leaders who are prepared to incite group against group, it is very easy to manufacture reasons and excuses. The lizard that jumped from a high Iroko tree to the ground said he would praise himself if no one else did. As long as one people sit on another and are deaf to their cry, so long will understanding and peace elude all of us. There is nothing to fear from someone who shouts. When old people speak, it is not because of the sweetness of words in our mouths, it is because we see something which you do not see. We cannot trample upon the humanity of others without devaluing our own. I prefer to go on trying all kinds of things, not to be told, this is the way it is done. The goat does not eat into a hen's stomach, no matter how friendly the two may be. Do not be in a hurry to rush into the pleasures of the world like the young antelope who danced herself lame when the main dance was yet to come. He is a fool who treats his brother worse than a stranger. As a rule, I don't like suffering to no purpose. Suffering should be creative, should give birth to something good and lovely. We do not seek to hurt any man, but if any man seeks to hurt us, may he break his neck. The language of young men is pull down and destroy, but an old man speaks of conciliation. A disease that has never been seen before cannot be cured with everyday herbs. Literature, whether handed down by word or mouth or in print, gives us a second handle on reality. Each of my books is different. Deliberately, I wanted to create my society, my people, in their fullness. Dancing is very important nowadays. No girl will look at you if you can't dance. Art is man's constant effort to create for himself a different order of reality from that which is given to him. Let the kite perch and let the eagle perch too. If one says no to the other, let his wing break. When a tradition gathers enough strength to go on for centuries, you don't just turn it off one day. People go to Africa and confirm what they already have in their heads, and so they fail to see what is there in front of them. The problem with letterless uprisings taking over is that you don't always know what you get at the other end. If you are not careful, you could replace a bad government with one much worse. The coward may cover the ground with his words, but when the time comes to fight he runs away. An artist, in my view, is always afraid of extremists. He is always afraid of those who claim to have found the ultimate solution to any question. My son, even if you want to fall, at least fall where your bones can be gathered. A singer should sing well, even if it is merely to himself, rather than dance badly for the whole world. It has always been quite apparent to me that no important story can fail to tell us something of value to us. You must develop the habit of skepticism, not swallow every piece of superstition you are told by witch doctors and professors. An artist, in my understanding of the word, should side with the people against the emperor that oppresses his or her people. When there is a big tree, small ones climb on its back to reach the sun. A kinsman in trouble had to be saved, not blamed. Anger against a brother was felt in the flesh, not in the bone. Real tragedy is never resolved. It goes on hopelessly forever. A pen on paper is the ideal way for me. I am not really very comfortable with machines. I never learned to type very well. When a new saying gets to the land of empty men, they lose their heads over it. A boy sent by his father to steal does not go stealthily, but breaks the door with his feet. I think once you have done all you can to a manuscript, let it find its way in the world.